He started in 1926, and he's 102. To keep coming back here. Thank you so much for coming to Convocation today. One of the reasons we do this is a number of years ago we did a survey of our alum, and they said it was so annoying when we were sitting down and having lunch and we'd stop every 10 minutes to say something. So we thought, let's try to do something a little bit different. The weather didn't quite cooperate today, but other years we've done fun parades up here, and so this is the space, the time when we recognize our athletic winners and our alumni achievement winner. And right now, to proceed with our time here, Dan Hickey, our athletic director. Where's Dan? Oh, okay. The lights here are like... So Dan, why don't you come on up and recognize our winners in the athletics.
Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 22nd induction ceremonies of the Stony Brook School Athletic Hall of Fame. Today I have the honor of welcoming 2 new members into an exclusive club that represents the very best student athletes from the 95-year history of blue and white athletics. This summer, 10 members of our Hall of Fame voted on a list of 10 nominees spanning 6 decades. Today's 2 inductees received the highest number total from that vote. I was pleased with the committee's selections not only because of the remarkable careers of these 2 Brookers, but because of their love and loyalty to the school from the time they were students until now. Both have been active members of our alumni community, supporting events like Alumni Basketball Weekend, the Jeff Adams Memorial Softball Game, and others. Their pride in Stony Brook runs deep, and it is a pleasure to honor them here today. Our first inductee is Peter Carmela from the class of 2007. Unfortunately, Peter could not be with us today as he is attending a fellow alum's wedding in Ireland, but he is nevertheless worthy of our taking the time to remember his career. His father, Ken, will accept the award on his behalf today. Peter's distinguished himself in 3 different sports over his 6 years at the Brook, evidenced by his pair of Swanson Best All-Around Athlete Awards. He is one of only 4 males to win the award multiple times since it was first instituted in 1937. During his sophomore soccer season, he was thrust into the starting goalkeeper position after my brother Mike dislocated his shoulder while making a save. He proved an able replacement as he led the Bears to the league championship, making key stops in huge wins over Mattituck and in the clincher over Greenport. A year later, he would earn All-State and All-County honors while leading the Bears to a berth in the Suffolk County Championship. During his 3 years on the basketball team, the Bears won 2 league titles and the 2007 Suffolk County Championship, the first in program history. In the historic win over Mercy, Peter led the Bears with 12 points and played a key role in limiting the Monarchs to just 1 point over the final 5 minutes of the 43-32 win. My father, Mike Hickey, coached Peter during his varsity career and fondly remembers his sheer strength that overpowered larger opponents, his leaping ability, which made him a tremendous shot blocker and rebounder, and his offensive versatility, which made him, quote, a nightmare to guard. Yet his greatest impact may be felt in the sport where he spent the least amount of time. Peter joined the track team for the first time his senior year and made an immediate impact, quickly distinguishing himself as the fastest man in a deep sprinting unit. In Coach Jake Morley's opinion, he was also one of the best shot putters he coached during his 11-year tenure. Astonishingly, despite having never sprinted prior to the season, Peter defeated a reigning All-State runner in the 100-meter county championship to earn a place in the state championship, where he earned a trip to the finals and an All-State recognition of his own. He also anchored the 4x100-meter relay team and, along with Mike Cox, Terrence Anderson, and John Butte, broke the school record by a full second and raced to his silver medal at the New York State Championships. I asked Peter's coach, Jake Morley, to reflect on Peter's contribution to the track program. He said Peter inaugurated what would be a dominant decade of Stony Brook 100-meter runners. He was the first of 5 SBS sprinters over the next 8 years who would advance to the state meet. And a young 7th grader named Taylor Colucci was unquestionably influenced and emboldened by the strong success of Peter and his classmates in 2007. Taylor would go on to win a state and New Balance national championship in the 200-meter dash. After Stony Brook, Peter was a 2-sport athlete at SUNY New Paltz, where he started at keeper, racking up 140 career saves. On the basketball court, he was a key reserve for the Hawks, playing in all but one game over his junior and senior seasons and earning a place on the Sun Yat Conference All-Academic team. When I asked Peter what was his most meaningful memory from his career here, he mentioned both the basketball county title and the 4x100 meter performance at states, but in the context of the lifelong bonds that were formed with his teammates through those experiences, not the trophies and the titles. He closed our conversation by saying, "It was great to grow with such a close-knit group of people who shared similar ideals, beliefs, and the desire to win." Please join me in honoring Peter Carmela. Also from the class of 2007, Kristin Dunleavy joins her friend and classmate in the Hall of Fame this afternoon. Kristin excelled on 2 different courts at the Brook during her 6-year career. She was the most valuable player of the volleyball team her senior year in leading the team to its best season in 5 years. Her coach, Stan Winston, remembers her as an athletic hitter who led by example during her 3 seasons on the varsity. But her true calling was on the basketball court. She was a 4-time most valuable player for the team, scored a school record 39 points on 2 occasions, was only the 2nd player in program history to reach the 1,000-point plateau, and garnered all county, Long Island, and state honors. Her coach, Keith Singer, remembers her as a player who excelled in every facet of the game, from defense to rebounding to passing, and of course, scoring. Keith reflected on Kristin this past week and shared the following thoughts. "When your leading scorer and best player willingly buys into every aspect of the game and is always one of your hardest workers, the stage is set for outstanding team success, and our teams certainly thrived." Kristin's leadership and work ethic helped lead the Bears to the program's first Suffolk County Championship in 2006, igniting a run of 6 straight titles that established the Brook as a basketball power on Long Island. In the closing moments of the title game, her 3-point play capped a furious comeback as the Bears clipped Port Jeff 48-44 in the historic win. The following year, after leading Suffolk County in scoring with 24.1 points per game, she would again take her team into uncharted waters as her 20 points and 15 rebounds propelled the Bears to their first Long Island title. As if the victory was not sweet enough, she surpassed the 1,500-point milestone during the win to cement her place as one of the best basketball players in Stony Brook history. After Stony Brook, Kristin attended Amherst College, where she helped the Lord Jeffs to 3 straight Final Four appearances. In the 2011 national semifinal, her 10 points in the final 8 minutes vaulted Amherst into the title game, where they would top Washington University for the crown. Kristin's list of accomplishments is lengthy, but the legacy she left at Stony Brook is more than trophies won and banners hung. Keith Singer reflected on her by saying, "What truly made her special was her leadership in our program, her willingness and desire to be a great teammate to others, and her commitment to Stony Brook girls basketball." He closed our conversation by saying, "She truly is a Hall of Fame athlete, but also a Hall of Fame person that I am proud to say I had the privilege to coach. She has been, and I am confident always will be, an outstanding representative of Stony Brook and its motto, character before career." When I asked Kristin what was most meaningful about her time here at Stony Brook, she, like Peter, focused more on her relationships than accomplishments, saying, "I have such a poor memory when it comes to individual games, but I remember vividly the times I spent with the girls on my team and our coaches who were so incredible and supportive. Bus rides out to Shelter Island, long practices over winter break when no one else was on campus, and celebrating with my friend Joanna after we won the county championship on her last-minute shot. She closed our conversation by saying, "What I valued most were my friendships, and the example Mr. Singer, Miss Helm, and Mr. Ross set for me, and how much they cared about everyone on our team far beyond our roles, just as players." Please join me in honoring Kristin Dunleavy.
And the awards continue. It is my pleasure and privilege to introduce to you our Alumni Achievement Award winner for this year. So I'm going to read you her bio. Our story began in the heart of a young girl who had a dream to build a home for orphans in Africa. At the age of 9, Devin Leondis spoke to friends, family members, and teachers about her lifelong dream. Most people doubted her, told her it would be impossible, yet Devin never gave up on this God-given dream. When she was turning 16, she saw this as an opportunity to raise money for a water well project in Africa. She asked guests of her birthday to donate to CBN Orphans' promise to build wells rather than accept gifts. To her amazement, they raised enough to construct 3 wells. 6 months later, Devin and her father Steve ventured to Ghana, Africa for the first time to dedicate the wells. It was during this visit that Devin's life was changed. Moved by the poverty and need that she saw, Devin knew when she returned home she had to do something. After returning to the States, Devin and her family set off to do what some would say was impossible. They started a nonprofit called Project Nayem Nisad, meaning God's Helping Hands, in Twi. Partnering with CBN, they began fundraising to construct a village of hope thousands of miles away in Ghana, Africa. While Devin pursued her education, the village of hope was being constructed as she took yearly trips to see the progress. According to Devin, what was so amazing is that we bought a 4-acre land plot and were able to watch the children's village be built up from the dust. First it was an empty plot, then there was a foundation which became structures, and finally a completed village. Now it is called home by the orphans of Ghana. In July 2016, Devin and 50 family members, friends, partners, and donors traveled to Ghana to dedicate and open the Village of Hope. After they left, Devin remained in Ghana to oversee the project and work with the children. Devin's vision is for the children who live in this village to become the future leaders of Africa, if not the world. She also has a vision for the youth to believe that they can too make a difference, and to know that God has created all of us with purpose and intention. Devin believes that God has called her to be a voice for the voiceless and to stand up for the rights of orphans. Since the Village of Hope opened in July 2016, Project Nayem Nisad has become a home and a beacon of light for the orphans of Ghana. It is with great honor that the Stony Brook School presents the Alumni Achievement Award to Devin Leondis, class of 2012.
So it feels great to be back at Stony Brook. Just walking around on the campus, all my memories from high school just come flooding back. So it's truly an honor and a humbling experience that Stony Brook would recognize the work that God's doing through me and our team in Ghana, Africa. One thing that I would want to just share is Stony Brook was such an amazing piece in my journey as God was using to prepare me to propel me onto college and my journey in Ghana. And looking back, I can clearly see how God picked me up from my public school in Manhasset and brought me here my sophomore year. And it really set such a strong foundation for me. I always believed in God. I was raised in a Christian home, but now to stand firm on my beliefs and know I believe in this and this is why, and I was able to take that to college with me. And I think Stony Brook, as we all can relate, prepares us in ways that we can't even begin to imagine when we're students here. And something that just came to my mind when we were in chapel earlier is that wherever we go, Stony Brook is like a launch pad into our future. And God just uses each and every person at this school to reach people throughout all ends of this earth. And it's just such an honor to call myself a bear and to be back at Stony Brook and just to see what will come from all the future leaders here. And one thing that my dad and I always talk about is what we've created in Ghana. It's almost like a mini Stony Brook. We have a chapel, the children attend school, and they're able to call this place home. And they're raised in apartment type homes with foster parents. And we actually started a prefect, a little prefect thing. So it really is like God took this experience and helped incorporate that into my vision for how the children would benefit from. And I also believe as Stony Brook is raising future leaders, we're doing the same in Ghana, Africa. So thank you, and it's great to be back.
Thank you, Devin, for representing us so well. All right, well, it's my privilege now, and in case you don't know who I am, I'm Josh Crane. I'm the head of school here. It is great to have all of you here. I'm in my 5th year of leadership at the Brook, and my fondness for it grows each year. And stories like Devin's and hearing about Pete and Kristin is greatly encouraging to me. I've had the chance to meet all of these folks before today and talk with them about their experience, and it's very rich. To hear alumni experiences about what this place meant to you and how it prepared you to be the people that you are today. Those are the stories that keep me going, that encourage me, and I do want to see Stony Brook continue to be a light and a beacon, to send people out to do this kind of work all over the globe, because if they do, the world will be better, and we need that. So I'm going to share with you just a few things about where we are as a school right now, kind of get you up to speed for those who may be coming back for the first time in a while. I've talked to some of you. It's been 20 plus years. It's changed a little bit. Dining hall's a little bit more expansive, I would say. Better views. But there is a lot that is similar. And that's the special part about Stony Brook. There is an essence, there is a core, there is a DNA that you have to preserve, and you want to preserve. But the world is changing. And so how do we blend these two things together? That's our task, and I think we're doing it well. So real quickly, just an overview of our admissions. Our school has been growing over the past 5 years. We are now at a student population, opened our doors this year with 385 students from around 320 when we started this 5 years ago. We give you just a snapshot of who they are, where they're coming from, what the mix is. So 18 different countries in 10 different states. We have 266 domestic students, 120 internationals, almost a third of our population coming from overseas. We have 186 boarding students and 200 day students, so tilting in the day direction for the first time in a while, 52 to 48%. And then from an academic perspective, there's certain stats that kind of give you access into the quality of the school. This is certainly one of them. 70% of our graduating seniors last year went to either the most highly selective or the second category, very selective, colleges and universities as ranked by Peterson's. And I would anticipate that this year's senior class will actually even eclipse that. So it's a picture of our students. It's neat to follow after Devin because this is the slide I wanted to show you. To gain access into Stony Brook today, you need to understand the concept of mini courses. And mini courses are these kind of week-long opportunities, or in the case that we're meeting each Wednesday, 5 weeks long, basically a total of 5 days, 5 or 6 days, where kids have an opportunity to dive in and really study something in depth for a brief period of time. One of the groups, last year, we won an award, a grant from the McClellan Foundation. We were given $60,000 to pilot this project. And the project was, we wanted to incorporate STEAM, science, technology, engineering, arts, and math, in order to solve big problems in this world. So we gathered groups of students together. We challenged them that winners would have their projects funded. And then we gave them the task. We said, world hunger, electricity, homelessness. And we just kind of threw it out there. And we said, make a dent. Do something with your resources, with your ingenuity, that will address these problems. So what you see here is a group that decided to take on electricity in Haiti. And so they got together and they created a wind turbine out of materials that you could find in a third world country. They went down to Haiti. They met with government officials who were interested and excited about their project, did that on a pilot basis last year, and then have come back this year and are building out the concept. And so that's what you see here. These folks have grown the wind turbine to be a little bit bigger, and they're planning to return to Haiti. They have the funding to put their ideas into place, and they've used their ingenuity for good. And folks, the measurement and assessment of a child's learning cannot solely be a paper and pencil test. What we are saying here at Stony Brook is we want you to take what you learn, grow in your talents and skills, and put it to good use in this world. More and more we're driving kids that way, and they are responding for sure. So this is our robotics team, middle school robotics, which went to the States last year in their first year of competition. So if you've had a chance to go up on the top floor of Gabeline, you may have seen our innovation lab, which is our STEM lab, which is where robotics happens. We actually now have had to build another space in the bottom level of Barnhouse for our budding robotics team. But these kids are taking to these kinds of activities with great intensity and great skill, and it's really neat to see them achieve and excel. So we may be a little bit late to the game, but AP Computer Science has come to Stony Brook this year. We've got a class that's dedicated to Java coding. Our kids are learning how to code. They'll be making apps for phones. And I'm pretty sure that someday there will be somebody who creates something that goes to scale. And I just want to be on the front end of that IP. We've got an artificial intelligence class that we've launched, and this is something we're very passionate about. You read the news, you can't miss a day where somebody's making some kind of prognostication about our future and how we're going to be replaced by machines. And look, there are varying levels of wisdom on that. I think what is sure and certain is that tomorrow will not look like today. We know that machines are becoming more efficient, and those kinds of skills that can be automated in the name of a profit probably will. And so we have to be ready for that. And so what we've done is we've started a couple of courses that really help kids think through economically, societally, philosophically, theologically, what does a more automated future look like? How do you reckon with great discrepancies between rich and poor? How do you deal with joblessness? And so we want kids who certainly are differentiated by the fact they took an AI class in high school. Pretty cool, right? That's good. But more than that, we want them to be leaders when they think about these things and encounter them in the future. This is a fun picture. This is one of our students, and I just shared this a little bit ago at the breakfast. But in a nutshell, she is taking part in our aviation course. So in the basement of Monroe, there is a real deal 737 flight simulator, in addition to several Cessna simulators that help kids learn how to fly. And so we've partnered with MacArthur Airport over there in Islip, about 20 minutes away, And kids will learn here in our simulator lab and then go over there and actually get up in the air and fly. And so back in about a year ago this time, I was outside walking around and there was this plane buzzing over the campus, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, is there like a fugitive that they're looking for, or what's happening here? And then about an hour later, I get a text with this picture on it. One of our kids was flying the plane over the campus. I'm happy to say they didn't buzz any treetops. But along with this high-tech approach that we have, we also have to have high touch. And so we started an advisory program, and high touch is very much the nature, the DNA of the Stony Brook School. Those relationships that you had with professors, with teachers here, who helped shape you, that's who we still are. And so we know this was happening organically, and we want to just get a little bit more organized about it and make sure that every student in this school had an adult, a touch point, who knew them well, who knew their Stony Brook world well, what they were participating in, their sports, their arts, their grades, the dorm, etc. It's a lot to keep up with. And so we started an advisory program where every student has an advisor who he or she is ultimately reporting to. We changed our entire schedule to ensure that an hour and 10 minutes a week is dedicated to this time. And so it's a great chance for us to keep on top of students, to monitor them in a closer, more relational way, which is what we like to do. These folks really scored. Their advisor is married to an owner-operator of a Chick-fil-A here in town, so they're feasting there. Let me get you up to date on spiritual life on this campus, and I sort of lament that this picture is just of the chapel, as if to think that the spiritual life of our campus is only found in that building, and not true at all. We certainly still do go to chapel. We actually have added an optional chapel that kids who want to come and worship God, they want to sing, they want to pray, they want to give testimony, they want to do those things, they can do that without someone next to them going like this or like this. I mean, just folks who want to participate, and that's okay. And those, again, we are, Stony Brook, we are not trying, we're not forcing Christianity on people. We are saying, look, here it is, it's beautiful, it's great, come on. And if they want to, then we certainly want to help them. And so there's an optional chapel. There are also several Bible studies that are happening across campus. We have our youth group Driven that meets every week, that's student-led. And then, of course, this advisory program is really giving us a chance to develop those relational bonds that really do lead to the best kind of spiritual development. I'm very encouraged by the level of spiritual growth that I'm seeing in students on this campus. There are many stories that I could tell you about people growing in their faith, people coming to faith. It is vibrant and very much a part of what we're doing. So maybe you heard last year, we went to the Final Four in basketball. We lost to the eventual champion by 2 points. I played those final 2 minutes over in my head. And I guarantee you, if that game went on another 30 seconds, we would have won. But what was remarkable about this game, not the fact that we got there and played as well as we did, and it's a real testimony to Mike Hickey, who is here, and his leadership of that team. But against, the team we were playing against was Moravia from upstate, and one of their boys, one of their senior leaders in November of that season was in a real serious car accident, and was out without the use of his legs, and he was in a wheelchair. And our team knew that, and after the game, after we lost, each one of our boys went over and hugged that boy and encouraged him, even in defeat. And it was a real moment for us. It really showed who we were as a team and as a school. And the Moravia coach wrote a beautiful letter to Mike, because they didn't know who Stony Brook was prior to playing. And they said, you played with such class and dignity. We were honored to play you. And it was one of those moments that you just go, yes, that's what we want to be about. Hopefully we'll get back and win this time. Volleyball, if you had a chance to go last night, we played. We won the Suffolk County Championship Girls Volleyball last year for the first time. We're on track to do so again. We just lost our first set, not game, set, to Port Jeff within conference. And then we turned around and showed them who's boss, which felt good. But we're on track for another Suffolk County Championship and maybe beyond. We've got quite a good group of folks. Bringing it into the home stretch here, let me just tell you about the facilities, which are a real important part of any independent school. And there's a desire not to become some great school with magnificent facilities, but certainly to upgrade our facilities, and really at the end of the day, to give our kids more opportunity. Because what we see with the STEM lab, what we see with these opportunities we're giving them, is that they're taking advantage of them, big time. And they're doing great work, so we want to empower them. So here you have some before and afters. And if you have a chance, I encourage you to go into Memorial and see the classroom. How many of you had Jean Lindsay when you were here? Okay. All right, so if you remember Miss Lindsay's class, it was a lot like a room you might find in your home, and that was intentional on Jean's part. And it really stood out against some of the more Spartan utilitarian classrooms that were in operation. And that certainly is one of them down there, the top, I guess from my vantage point, top right. But that was kind of representative of what we had. Some garage sale furniture, frankly, a dirty whiteboard, those fluorescent lights, which are so hard to learn, under. And we just said enough's enough. We can do better than this. And so in Memorial, as you know, Memorial is a long timeline. And it's a long hallway, so we made it into a timeline. And each classroom is named after a historical figure or period of time. And the goal for us is to curate these rooms over time with artifacts that represent the particular person who's being represented there. So there's Shakespeare, and there's Jane Austen, and then the Inklings, J.R. Tolkien, C.S. Lewis, prophets, reformers. I mean, it's just a really neat, well thought out plan. And kids are going to school there, and there's much more kind of collaborative furniture you can bring together and do different things, and it's a better place to go to class. And so that's been a focus of ours. We really want to get everything up to sea level. We want to pass the curb appeal test. We want people to come in and not be turned away by facilities that are 20, 30 years out of date, right? We want them to be able to really get down to the brass tacks of talking to us about our program, about who we are, who our teachers are, and how we love children in the name of Jesus. All right. And so don't get too married to this. This actually comes from Cal State East Bay. You can't grow those kind of trees in New York, okay? But it's a visual picture of what we believe we need to do, and that is to build a STEM building. So I referenced in Memorial, and Gabeline will renovate this coming summer. We didn't do the science labs, and that's simply because the science labs in both Memorial and Gabeline are undersized. No matter how pretty we would make them, they still would lack the requisite space to do science properly in this day and age. And what our STEM classroom has taught us is that we need more STEM space. We need to give these kids the opportunity to really stretch their legs in math, science, engineering, and utilizing technology. And so how we're planning is for a STEM building to be built that will house these disciplines. We are in the process of doing site surveys and thinking through where it would land. And one of the options is that big green stretch that runs up to the Grosvenor House that sits opposite the bank. I do pray every day that we get that bank back, with the money in it, by the way. But opposite the bank would be a great place to put this STEM building. But that's where our efforts and our focus is going. And we're in the preliminary stages of thinking about what this could be for us, what it needs to look like, and of course how much it would cost. In addition to that, just a few other things, we also need to expand this building. So this works great for us now. This gathering that we have, there are roughly 320 seats in this place. There's also a really annoying sign that when you walk in says, "Thou shalt not put more than what you can handle in here," by the fire code of New York State. And so we have 385 kids. Do the math. This space, we don't have a community gathering space that we can all get together around, where we can fit everybody and have acoustics like we want, etc. And plus, in the back are only art classrooms, only 2. And we think we can do better with more. So Carson is another aspect that's on our radar to expand, to incorporate and to house our arts programs, our choir, our orchestra, our theater. I mean, it's really great work that these kids do, and we think that with more space they can do better. So that's a big part of it. And we also are trying to get our missions, our development, and our business offices out of the spaces that they currently reside in. So, as I've said before, nothing says more that you're serious about fundraising than putting your development office in the basement of a dorm. So that's got to change. And we are talking about if we're going to move towards building STEM, if we're going to move towards expanding this building, it's going to take significant resources. And we can't just sit here and watch it fall from the sky. We've got to do the best practices of fundraising and donor management, donor development, inviting people in to walk alongside you towards these great projects. So what's happened here as we wrap up is this is, I don't know if you're familiar with the work of Jim Collins, he wrote the book Good to Great. He also wrote a little monograph for the social sectors, for nonprofits. And his concept is the flywheel. And it's basically how you get an organization going to move at greater speed and gather greater strength. And it's this flywheel concept that he's developed, where this flywheel, a big wheel that you've got to push really hard at first, but once that momentum gets going, it becomes a lot easier to push, and then it has a momentum all of its own. And this has been the story of this school, I would tell you, for the last several years. We had to, at a point in our time, we had to kind of re-attract believers in this school. We had trough, we had hit a low point. And so we needed to tell people, you know what, Stony Brook is worth supporting. This is a great place. We just got to get out of the ditch and get back on the road. And so we needed to attract people who would believe in that vision, folks who would come and put their shoulder to the plow and work here, and then folks who would support us with their resources. And that has happened. And as you begin to garner those resources, then you're building the organization, you're drawing more people in, and you're saying people are the most important part of this thing. We got to get the right people here who can accomplish the mission that we're setting out to do. And you want to build an organization that's not a flash in a pan, but that's got staying power. You build it strong. The analogy he uses is of a clock builder versus a time teller. You can bring any one person in for a period of time and they're the answer woman or answer man. They have the answers, but once they go, what happens, right? So we're seeking to build institutional strength so that there are no more troughs, but there's a trajectory that goes up. And once you do that, you start to demonstrate results. And so you saw the admissions results, you see the fundraising results. You get to know our kids and you see their story, you're seeing results in their lives, not academically only, but spiritually, growing in the Lord. We are demonstrating and delivering on results here. And so what happens last is we build a brand. And I know that may not sound like a very educational term to some of you, but it's vital. Folks have choices in this day and age as to where they send their kids. And at $30,000 for a day student and $53,000 for a domestic boarding student, we're not the cheapest option in town. So we've got to build our brand and we've got to tell people why this is such a special place to come to school. And you can help us with that, telling your stories to people you know about your experience here, about what's been going on here at Stony Brook. But we hired somebody, and we hired a firm to help us because we wanted to package and wrap up all of the great things that are happening here on campus in something that you can explain in a fairly short period of time. One of my biggest problems is someone says, tell me about the value proposition of Stony Brook. And I'm like, how much time do you have, right? Sit down and it's a long story. So we needed some modern assets, things that we could pull out of our back pocket and share with people as we told them about our school. So what I'm going to play for you now is a very short video that basically, it didn't get it. They captured it. These folks were recommended to us by Tim Keller at Redeemer Presbyterian Church in New York City, if you're familiar with who he is and who that church is. They've done a lot of great work, and they recommended this firm out of Minneapolis, and these folks really, really hit it for us. So I'm going to play it for you, say a few more words, and then get out of your way so we can go to lunch. Can we cue the video?
Choose one. Wisdom, imagination. Both are valuable. Both are things we want our generation to have. But sometimes we find ourselves splitting the world into binary choices, one or the other, thinking we have to choose between being grounded or taking flight, not realizing that wisdom and imagination need each other. For imagination without wisdom can be impulsive, and wisdom without imagination quickly becomes dry. So what happens when education cultivates both equally? When we follow the model of a creator who both imagined form out of void and put wisdom into words. The Stony Brook School believes that when wisdom meets imagination, it produces great vision. And the world needs great vision. Innovation is happening so quickly today that it keeps outpacing itself, and we don't always have the eyes to see whether this is good. Our values get shaped by what's expedient instead of what's true. We want to be a generation of leaders with the vision to see the difference and the character to see beyond.
I'm learning to see beyond my own needs to how I can serve others.
I'm learning to see beyond just taking classes to the opportunity of finding new passions.
I see leadership as an opportunity to love people and to help them grow.
I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what job I'm going to have in the future, but I know that whatever's coming, I'm going to be confident and ready for it.
I'm learning to see beyond answers to the questions behind them.
I'm learning to see beyond my own culture to a bigger understanding of the world.
I want to help my students to see beyond even college and to see 10 or 15 years into the future into who they can be.
At Stony Brook, we're learning to bring wisdom and imagination together to create great vision. Because at the core, vision is an act of faith, requiring both wisdom to know the greatness of God and imagination to be open to His calling. Vision that puts conviction into motion and gives structure to a dream, that both chases and stands ground, that develops both the skill sets and mindsets for jobs that don't exist yet. Vision that accelerates, vision that serves. So, if we ever think we have to choose just one, wisdom, imagination, we will have the vision to see beyond.
So I think they nailed it. And that concept of wisdom and imagination coming together to create vision, that's exactly what Devin did. Devin had a passion. She knows the scriptures of caring for the poor, and she had a vision. There's the wisdom. You know that this is the way the world works. God wants us to do this. And she had the vision, the imagination to see beyond, to envision a better future for kids. And that's what we want to do here at Stony Brook. We want to give them that infrastructure to imagine well a better world, to give them vision. So, in closing, here's what I would say. I would say for a long time at this school, we've had a little bit of a poverty mindset. And by that I mean, I'm not sitting here promising that we're all going to be, driving Rolls Royces and living in nice houses. That's not it at all. That's shallow. But I think we've limited ourselves in what we can do here on this campus. We have said, we don't have the money for that. We can't do that. That's just, And so what I'm challenging us to do, internally and certainly as a larger community, of which you are an integral part, is to think big about what can happen at Stony Brook. God says that He owns cattle on 1,000 hills, that all the resources belong to Him. And as His laborers here, what it's our privilege to do is to pray and to work and to trust that big things can happen in His name. Ephesians 3:20 says, "Now unto Him who's able to do immeasurably more than we ever ask or imagine, according to the power, His great power that's at work within us." And that's the mentality that we need to have. Because let me tell you something, this is a competitive field. If we don't take care of Stony Brook, if we don't move it forward, it will suffer. And it's worth preserving. But it is a community effort to preserve the school. And so I invite you into that work. And I thank you for your time here today. And I'd love to talk to you further about how we can advance this mission together. Thanks very much.
All I can say is it's exciting times here at Stony Brook right now. It's just a great place. As I've seen the progress over the years, it is an exciting time here right now. Just some reminders about the rest of the day. After this, we're going to head over to the dining room. Enjoy your conversations around the table. Then for dessert, we'll move to the lower level into Hollis Student Center for our dessert. A couple reminders, tonight at 5, we have a reception at the Yacht Club down in Stony Brook. If you need directions, just stop by the information table. Tomorrow morning, if you have further questions about the spiritual life at Stony Brook, Josh is going to be available in, I want to say, the admissions center, the old library, depending on your generation. And it'll be a time to meet with him and Mark Tejan to hear what's going on and to also have a chance to ask your questions. Chapel is at 11. Just so you know, chapel is casual, so if you didn't bring anything fancy, we'd still love to have you join us. And then you may join us for supper immediately following that. So thank you for spending this time with us to hear what's happening. And I'm seeing somebody standing up over here. So did you want to say something? Now what am I going to say?
The Robin Jane Show. Please bring your parade signs to the dining room. We'll do the class photos over there.
Yeah.
And it's so great to see all of you. And any sailors, come see me right now.
All right. See you over in the dining room.